So we burned one, and I couldn't even function. I mean, it was like the most hardcore weed that I'd ever smoked.
Hollywood has always promised fame and bigger dreams, but for some country stars, it brought trouble instead. From movies to TV shows, 20 beloved singers tried to shine on the silver screen. Some lost their music fans, some their confidence, and some their careers. Join us as we uncover 20 old country stars who were ruined by Hollywood. Number 20, Garth Brooks. In the late 90s, Garth Brooks was at the peak of his fame, adored by millions and known as the man who could fill entire stadiums with just his guitar and charm. Then came a bold idea that stunned everyone: the birth of Chris Gaines, a moody rock star from a movie that never came to life. Brooks reinvented himself completely, stepping away from his cowboy roots into a world of dark makeup, pop sounds, and mysterious storytelling. Fans were confused, critics were harsh, and the dream of the Lamb movie quietly passed away before it could be made. The project's failure hit Brooks hard. The man, once untouchable in country music, faced jokes, criticism, and a sudden chill from his once loyal audience. Behind the fame, he battled exhaustion and took a long break from music to focus on his family and recover from the public backlash. Though he eventually returned stronger, that Hollywood experiment left a scar on his career, a reminder that even giants can stumble. But if Garth's story was about losing his way, the next country queen's story was about shining too bright for her good, until Hollywood dimmed her sparkle. Number 19, Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton was the perfect blend of sunshine and sass. A voice as sweet as honey and a spirit that could light up a room. When Hollywood came calling in the 80s, she embraced it with open arms, dazzling audiences in 9 to 5 and charming them again in the best little whorehouse in Texas. But then came Rhinestone, a film meant to show her humor and warmth alongside Sylvester Stallone. Instead, it became one of Hollywood's most talked about flops. Critics mocked it, fans were puzzled, and the magic she carried on stage suddenly looked fragile on screen. The failure left her heartbroken. For a while, Dolly felt Hollywood did not understand her, the small-town girl who turned her struggles into songs. Beyond the big screen, she faced personal pain. False rumors about affairs, tension with business partners, and a battle with depression she tried to keep hidden behind her trademark smile. Yet, in true Dolly fashion, she rose again.
Well, I don't care about following fashion. I've never been one to follow what other people are doing. I see what's going on.
She returned to the studio, refocused on music, and proved that glitter doesn't fade when it's real gold underneath. And while Dolly found her way back to country roots, another superstar's Hollywood adventure would leave him standing in a fog between fame, pride, and fading applause. Number 18, Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers was more than a singer. He was a storyteller. With his silver beard and smooth voice, he captured hearts through timeless hits like The Gambler and Coward of the County. When Hollywood noticed his charm, they turned him into a movie man. He played heroic gamblers, race car drivers, and ordinary men with extraordinary luck. The first few projects were hits, and fans adored seeing him on both the big and small screen. But success can be a tricky friend. As the 80s rolled in, Rogers leaned deeper into film, chasing a broader spotlight. Soon, his music, the very thing that built his empire, began to lose its spark. His country fans missed the simple stories, the down-to-earth ballads that once made him relatable. Instead, they saw a star chasing glitz and glamour. Behind the scenes, he fought business disputes, messy divorces, and constant scrutiny from the press about his changing looks and lavish lifestyle. By the end of the decade, Rogers' chart-topping days had slowed, and critics accused him of losing touch with his country roots. Though he later reclaimed his place as a legend, Hollywood had already taken its toll, leaving him with fame, fortune, but also a faint sense of loss for what could never quite be recaptured. Number 17, Kris Kristofferson. Kris Kristofferson was a different breed of star, a poet, a rebel, and a man whose songs carried the weight of truth. Long before Hollywood called, he had already written classics that defined an era. But when film directors saw his rugged charm and intense eyes, they wanted him on screen. He took the leap, starring in movies like A Star is Born, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, and Convoy. At first, the world seemed his for the taking. Critics praised his raw presence, and for a moment, he seemed unstoppable. But Hollywood is rarely kind for long. Soon, his films began to flop, and the same critics who once cheered turned their backs. While juggling two demanding careers, Kristofferson's music began to fade from the spotlight. Touring slowed, writing stalled, and his once devoted fan base grew divided. Some missed the pure songwriter, others did not understand his Hollywood choices. Behind closed doors, he struggled with exhaustion, a complicated marriage history, and battles with depression and health issues that shadowed his career. By the time the 80s came, the Hollywood dream had dimmed. Yet, even with the cracks in his fame, Kristofferson remained a man of depth and dignity, never losing his humility or heart. His story became a quiet warning that in chasing two worlds, even the brightest stars can burn at both ends. Number 16, Billy Ray Cyrus. Billy Ray Cyrus exploded onto the music scene with Achy Breaky Heart, a song that seemed to define a generation. The world danced to his music, and his cowboy charm made him a household name. But the lure of Hollywood soon called. He stepped into acting, starring in shows like Doc, and later sharing the screen with his daughter Miley in Hannah Montana. What seemed like a golden opportunity quickly became a complicated journey. Cyrus's image transformed from a serious country singer into a Disney dad, a title that, while endearing to some, alienated his core audience. Traditional fans who had celebrated his raw country storytelling found themselves disconnected from the family-friendly persona he embraced. The pressures of balancing music, acting, and fatherhood weighed heavily. Behind the scenes, he faced personal challenges, including marital tensions and media scrutiny, as well as the constant challenge of proving himself beyond the shadow of his daughter's skyrocketing fame. His later albums struggled to capture the magic of his early work, leaving him in a strange limbo. Visible everywhere, yet struggling to reclaim the respect he once commanded in country music. If Billy Ray's journey was a lesson in how fame can shift in unexpected ways, the next star's story shows how even quiet country charm can fade under the bright lights of Hollywood. Number 15, Clint Black. Clint Black emerged as a country music powerhouse in the late 1980s, captivating audiences with his smooth voice and storytelling talent. His rise was meteoric, and fans felt a deep connection to his music. Hollywood soon noticed, and Black dabbled in film and television, appearing in projects like Maverick and minor roles that promised a new horizon. At first, the prospect seemed exciting, a chance to expand his artistic reach. But the journey was anything but simple. The roles never propelled him to true stardom, and critics began to note a concerning trend. His acting pursuits coincided with a noticeable loss of musical momentum. Radio airplay dwindled, and his once dominant presence on the charts weakened. Beyond the professional challenges, Black faced personal struggles, from navigating the pressures of celebrity to managing creative expectations and industry politics. The shift to Hollywood distracted him from his music, and though he remained talented, the public's focus moved elsewhere. His story became a quiet reminder that talent alone is sometimes not enough when the spotlight shifts too quickly. While Clint's fade was slow and quiet, the next legend's story shows a bright star whose Hollywood journey was both dazzling and dangerous. Number 14, Glen Campbell. Glen Campbell's rise was nothing short of magical. His voice, smooth and comforting, carried hits across the nation, and his charm was undeniable. Hollywood welcomed him, casting him in films like True Grit alongside John Wayne, a moment that seemed to cement his status as a versatile star. Early praise made it appear that Campbell could balance music and acting with grace, but the glitter of Hollywood proved heavy. Subsequent film projects failed to capture the audience's heart, and Campbell's music began to suffer. While he continued to perform, the distractions of acting coincided with a decline in chart success and visibility in the country scene. Behind the scenes, Campbell faced personal battles, the strain of fame, industry politics, and the beginning of health struggles that would later affect his life profoundly. Though admired for his talent, the intersection of Hollywood and music showed a challenging path. He remained a beloved figure, but the golden glow of his voice dimmed under the weight of film ambitions. From a golden voice to the rough edges of fame, the next outlaw star would find that Hollywood's sparkle could sometimes blur the edge of authenticity. Number 13, Waylon Jennings. Waylon Jennings was the embodiment of the outlaw spirit. His music carried rebellion, raw emotion, and authenticity that resonated deeply with fans. Hollywood offered new opportunities, TV appearances, voice work, and roles that seemed to fit his image. One of the most notable was his involvement with the Dukes of Hazzard, where his distinct voice became a familiar presence. Yet the journey into Hollywood was not without cost. Some fans felt that his image became cartoonish, a shadow of the rebellious figure they adored. Combined with personal struggles, including battles with substance misuse, the Hollywood connection blurred his raw credibility. Behind the camera, Jennings faced pressures of maintaining public appeal while grappling with private demons. His music, once unflinchingly bold, sometimes seemed softened in the public eye. The contrast between the outlaw on stage and the Hollywood personality created tension in his legacy, showing that even the strongest country legends could feel the pull of compromise. Number 12, Loretta Lynn. Loretta Lynn rose from humble beginnings, her voice carrying the grit and truth of life in a coal mining town. Her songs told stories of love, struggle, and survival, resonating with fans who saw themselves in her words. The success of Coal Miner's Daughter brought her life and music to Hollywood, and the world watched as her story unfolded on the big screen. The film's acclaim was immense, yet it became a double-edged sword. The attention and demands of Hollywood began to pull her focus away from the music that had made her legendary. In the early 1980s, the excitement of biopic promotion and small acting ventures caused her recording and touring schedule to slow. Fans noticed fewer albums and less frequent appearances, and the media's fascination with her life outside music began to overshadow her artistry. While she remained a beloved figure, overexposure dulled the mystique that had drawn millions to her work. Behind the glamour, Lynn faced personal challenges as well. Family pressures, public scrutiny, and the constant balancing act of being both a star and a mother created stress and fatigue. She navigated controversies about her personal life with quiet resilience, but the Hollywood spotlight magnified every struggle, sometimes at the expense of her creative flow. Despite these hurdles, her spirit endured, and she continued to write and sing with a voice shaped by life's hardships. Number 11, Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash was the embodiment of rebellion and truth. His deep voice and commanding presence told stories of the forgotten, the flawed, and the brave. In the 1960s and 70s, Hollywood sought to capitalize on his charisma, offering him roles in films and television specials. At first, it seemed an opportunity to broaden his reach, connecting his music with audiences beyond country. But the ventures were a challenge. Most of his film appearances were critically panned, and Hollywood often treated him as a novelty act rather than a serious artist. The man who had sung about prison, pain, and redemption was reduced to a character, diminishing the aura that had made him legendary. At the same time, Cash battled personal demons, including struggles with substance misuse and the pressures of maintaining his public image.
Thing is, it was a good reason for taking drugs. To answer your question, I started taking them in 1958, amphetamines and barbiturates.
His music, once unstoppable, began to slip in popularity as focus shifted to his Hollywood projects. The duality of trying to maintain both a music and acting career left him stretched thin, and even the admiration of fans could not completely shield him from criticism and disappointment. Despite these setbacks, Cash's resilience and authenticity remained intact. He eventually returned to music with renewed vigor, proving that even Hollywood missteps could not erase the power of a man who sang with honesty and heart. From outlaw to misunderstood Hollywood star, the next story shows how ambition and artistry can clash, even for a superstar. Number 10, Toby Keith.
Birthday party at the Rum Jungle started at midnight because everything happens late in Vegas. Willie was playing at 8 o'clock at the Hacienda. I don't even know if Hacienda's there anymore.
Toby Keith rose through the country scene with songs that celebrated life, love, and the simple joys of hard work. His fame grew steadily, and the call of Hollywood proved irresistible. He produced and starred in Broken Bridges and later Beer for My Horses, ventures meant to showcase his charm and storytelling in a new medium. Unfortunately, the film struggled. Critics were harsh, audiences lukewarm, and the financial and creative demands of filmmaking pulled Keith away from the studio and the stage. At a time when his presence on country charts was crucial, the distractions coincided with a noticeable decline in musical output. Fans who loved his bold, heartfelt songs felt a gap, and radio play slipped. The pressures of balancing music, acting, and production responsibilities created stress and fatigue. Behind the scenes, Keith also faced the scrutiny of media and the challenge of maintaining his reputation while experimenting in Hollywood. Despite these challenges, he remained a dedicated performer, continuing to write and record music that reflected his signature style. Number 9. Reba McEntire. Reba McEntire had a voice that commanded attention, storytelling that captivated listeners, and a presence that made her the undisputed queen of country music. Hollywood beckoned, and she stepped into television with her sitcom Reba and acted in films like Tremors. The transition seemed promising, expanding her fan base beyond the music world. Yet, the shift brought challenges. Her focus on Hollywood and television gradually took precedence over her music career. Once a powerhouse on the country charts, her musical dominance slowed. Recording schedules became lighter, tours were less frequent, and fans noticed the gap between the hits she once delivered and the new material that trickled in. Personal challenges, including managing fame, family responsibilities, and the constant expectations of both Hollywood and the music industry, tested her resilience. Critics and fans debated whether her Hollywood success diluted her identity as a country star. Despite this, Reba remained strong, channeling her experiences into her music and television work. She showed that even as the spotlight shifted, her heart and talent could shine across multiple platforms, keeping her legacy intact. Number 8. Mark Collie. Mark Collie entered the country music scene with promise and energy. His songs were heartfelt, and fans admired his storytelling, believing he would become a long-lasting star in the industry. He had the talent, the voice, and the drive to succeed. Yet, when Hollywood came knocking, Collie could not resist the allure of the big screen. He took roles in films like The Punisher, hoping to expand his audience and become a crossover sensation. At first, the opportunity seemed perfect. Acting could be another stage to showcase his charm and personality. But Hollywood was not kind. Collie's acting career never gained traction. His roles were minor, and critics often overlooked his performances. As he focused on film, his music career began to lose momentum. Record labels grew uncertain about his dedication to country music, and promotion for his albums became sporadic. Fans who had once eagerly awaited new songs found themselves waiting longer and hearing less. Behind the public eye, Collie faced personal struggles as well. Balancing auditions, travel, and studio time took a toll. He endured the stress of managing dual careers, the pressure to maintain public interest, and the quiet disappointment of seeing his dreams of crossover success fail. Despite his resilience, the excitement of Hollywood distracted from the craft that made him shine. Number 7. Clint Walker. Clint Walker was a natural on screen. Tall, commanding, and charismatic, he became a beloved figure in westerns. Hollywood embraced him, and the audience adored his rugged charm. Encouraged by this, Walker recorded country albums tied to his film work, hoping to prove that his talents extended beyond acting. The dream was simple. Hollywood exposure would launch his music career, allowing him to shine in both fields. Unfortunately, it did not work out as planned. Walker became typecast as the Western actor, and his musical identity never solidified. Fans admired his screen presence but rarely connected with his songs. Behind the scenes, Walker faced challenges of artistic authenticity, trying to maintain credibility as a musician while satisfying Hollywood's expectations. Critics were skeptical, and record labels hesitated to invest fully in a star they perceived as a novelty. Personal struggles compounded the difficulty. Walker navigated long working hours on film sets, the pressures of public scrutiny, and the challenge of proving himself in an industry that wanted to define him narrowly. While he remained respected, his voice in country music never reached the prominence it could have. As Clint Walker's story shows the struggle of dual identities, the next story highlights a performer whose television fame overshadowed his true brilliance. Number 6. Roy Clark. Roy Clark was a musician's musician. His skill on guitar, banjo, and other instruments was legendary, and his voice carried depth and warmth. He had the talent to dominate country music charts and impress audiences with his artistry. Hollywood, however, saw a different potential. Clark became a television personality, hosting Hee Haw and appearing in comedy programs. The shows were immensely popular, making him a household name and earning him fame far beyond the music scene. But the attention came with consequences. His comedic persona began to overshadow his genuine musical skill. Younger audiences, who might have appreciated his virtuosity, often viewed him as a novelty act, focusing on his humor rather than the talent behind it. Clark faced the challenge of being recognized for his music while managing the persona Hollywood had built. Personal struggles also tested his resilience. Balancing fame, the demands of hosting, touring, and the pressure to innovate musically created a constant juggling act. While he remained beloved, the television fame pulled attention away from the songs that had earned him respect in the first place. Clark's story shows that talent alone is not always enough when the industry's focus shifts. Number 5. Jerry Reed. Jerry Reed was a gifted performer, his voice and guitar work defining a distinctive style in country music. He had charisma, stage presence, and a growing fan base eager for every new recording. Hollywood took notice, casting him in films like Smokey and the Bandit and The Waterboy. His on-screen energy was infectious, and audiences loved him. Yet, while he shone on screen, Reed's music career quietly suffered. Acting commitments demanded time, focus, and travel, which pulled him away from studios and tours. His chart success dwindled, and while he remained beloved for his film appearances, fans increasingly saw him as Burt Reynolds' sidekick, rather than the country legend he truly was. Behind the scenes, Reed faced struggles that accompanied any crossover attempt. Balancing dual careers, coping with the pressures of public expectations, and dealing with industry skepticism created stress. Despite these challenges, he continued to perform and record, striving to maintain his musical identity. Reed's story is a reminder that Hollywood's spotlight can be bright, but it often shifts attention away from the artistry that built a star's legacy. From sidekick roles to musical struggles, the next story explore how Hollywood shaped, and sometimes shadowed, country legends in unexpected ways. Number 4. Merle Haggard.
I was pleasantly informed that he was very, very intelligent. He was not your average knife in the drawer.
Merle Haggard was more than just a country singer. He was the voice of the working man. His songs told stories of hardship, love, rebellion, and the realities of life, connecting deeply with fans who saw their struggles reflected in his music. By the early 1970s, Haggard had already established himself as one of the most authentic and influential figures in country music. His voice was rugged yet heartfelt, his songwriting raw and real, and his presence commanding. It seemed impossible that anything could pull him away from his path. Hollywood, however, saw something different. They noticed his charisma, his rugged charm, and his larger-than-life persona. Offers for small parts in television and film began coming his way during the 70s and early 80s. At first, the roles seemed harmless. They were minor parts, opportunities to reach a broader audience, and a chance to explore a different form of creative expression. Yet, the very nature of these projects created a distraction at a critical time in Haggard's career. While he spent time on film sets and fulfilling acting obligations, his music suffered. Album releases slowed, recording sessions were fewer, and his touring schedule became more erratic. Fans noticed the gap in his output, and record labels grew wary, questioning whether Haggard could maintain the momentum that had once made him unstoppable. The distraction was not the only challenge he faced during this period. Behind the scenes, Haggard struggled with personal issues. Relationships were complicated by the pressures of fame, substance use created additional hurdles, and the weight of managing both Hollywood and country music ambitions caused stress. Balancing the demands of two industries proved difficult, and the energy needed for acting drew away from the creative spark that had fueled his early success. Despite the setbacks, Haggard's passion for music never faded. He returned to the studio and stage with renewed determination, reminding the world why his voice mattered. If Merle's Hollywood detour shows how distractions can stall even the brightest star, the next story reveals a young star whose public image became both her fame and her trap. Number 3, Tanya Tucker.
I'm not proud of and you know about, and there's been a bunch of things that I didn't do that I've been accused of.
The life and turbulent times of Tanya Tucker.
Tanya Tucker's journey into country music was extraordinary. She became a star in her early teens, her voice filled with boldness and emotion that captivated audiences. By the 1980s, she had already proven herself as a force in the music world. Her talent was undeniable, her stage presence magnetic, and her ability to tell stories through song rare for someone so young. Hollywood soon took notice, offering acting opportunities that seemed to promise new avenues for her career. The allure of film and television was strong. Tucker hoped acting could broaden her audience and solidify her status as an entertainer beyond country music. She accepted roles and made appearances that aligned with her image at the time. Yet Hollywood had its ideas. Rather than being celebrated purely as an artist, Tucker was typecast as a wild child. The media seized on this persona, emphasizing rebellious antics, bold fashion choices, and public drama, rather than her extraordinary musical talent. Fans and critics alike began to focus more on the image Hollywood and the tabloids painted than on the albums she worked tirelessly to create. This period created challenges that extended beyond mere perception. Tucker's musical output slowed as she balanced acting obligations, promotions, and the intense scrutiny of the press. The pressure to maintain a public persona overshadowed her artistry, leaving her caught between two worlds. Personal struggles accompanied the professional ones. The demands of early fame, relationships, and the constant attention of Hollywood took their toll emotionally and creatively. Despite these obstacles, Tucker's talent endured. She continued to sing and perform, her voice remaining strong, authentic, and imbued with the raw emotion that had made her a star in the first place. Number 2, Dwight Yoakam. Dwight Yoakam was never just a country singer. From the moment he emerged on the scene, his voice and style carried a blend of traditional country twang and modern edge. His songs painted pictures of heartbreak, hard living, and the complexity of love. Fans loved his authenticity, his charm, and his ability to tell stories that felt personal. By the 1980s and early 90s, Yoakam had established himself as a top country star. Yet Hollywood soon beckoned, offering him opportunities to expand his artistic reach. Yoakam found success as a character actor, appearing in films like Sling Blade and Panic Room. His performances were praised for their depth and subtlety, revealing a talent that extended beyond music. At first, this seemed like a natural extension of his artistry, a way to showcase himself to new audiences, but the venture came with unintended consequences. As Yoakam focused more on acting, his presence in the music world began to decline. Radio airplay dropped, album releases slowed, and fans felt the absence of the artist they had come to rely on. Some even felt abandoned, believing that Yoakam's attention had shifted from the stage and studio to the silver screen. Behind the camera, Yoakam faced the challenges of balancing dual careers. The demands of acting, long hours on set, learning lines, traveling for shoots, competed directly with recording sessions, live performances, and promotional work. Personal struggles also surfaced, from coping with the pressure to maintain his reputation to navigating the scrutiny of fans and the industry. Despite these challenges, Yoakam remained dedicated to his craft. He continued to record and perform, though the pull of Hollywood had inevitably altered the trajectory of his music career. If Dwight's Hollywood journey shows the risk of dividing attention, the next story tells of a megastar who tried acting once and discovered how unforgiving the system could be. Number 1, George Strait. George Strait's name is synonymous with country music royalty. Known for his smooth voice, timeless hits, and steady presence, Strait became one of the most respected figures in the industry. By the early 1990s, he had earned countless accolades, devoted fans, and a reputation for consistency. Hollywood, however, presented a new challenge. In 1992, Strait starred in Pure Country, a film that promised to combine his musical talent with cinematic storytelling. At first, the film seemed like a natural fit. Strait's persona, grounded yet charming, could translate easily to the screen. Yet, despite its eventual cult status, the movie initially underperformed. The box office reception was underwhelming, and critics were mixed, highlighting the challenges of translating musical stardom into Hollywood success. For Strait, the experience was eye-opening. Even as a megastar, navigating the Hollywood system proved difficult. The time, energy, and promotion required for the film pulled focus away from his music career, a domain where he had always excelled. Strait's brief foray into acting revealed the harsh realities of Hollywood. The industry demanded more than talent. It required adaptation, publicity, and a willingness to be molded by external forces. For a man who had built his fame on authenticity and consistency, these demands felt confining. Recognizing this, Strait chose to retreat from acting entirely, returning to the music world where his legacy was secure and his artistry could shine without compromise. While Pure Country remains beloved by fans, the experience served as a valuable lesson. Not even the biggest stars are immune to Hollywood's challenges. Strait's story emphasizes that true strength sometimes lies in knowing where your gifts are most powerful and choosing to protect them. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.